And this is Paul 102 Digital Monday. Hard Talk starts now with Farid Ali as host.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, David. It's great to be here, and we have another show packed together for you all, put together in relation to Los Paranderos de Ui. How much Spanish song in there, David? I find I improve, you know. Los Paranderos de Ui.
Parang. That's where they are. Paranderos de Uwi.
You're gonna make me swallow my tongue, you know. Paranderos de Ui. De Ui. I'll
Yeah.
try. I'll try. I'll try. How's
The
everything
Spanish,
going? You good?
they roll their R's.
Yeah, but I might end up rolling out a few teeth on my tongue too.
Yes, yes.
We, to the listening public, we are supposed to have Mr. Miguel Brown joining us soon. I spoke with him a few minutes ago, so he'll be tuning in. And we're gonna have a discussion about the Paranderos de Ui this afternoon, just about their music and the beginnings of the band and some of their achievements. So I don't want to preempt Mr. Brown in any way, so we'll save that for when he's there. Um, David, I always ask you how Christmas is shaping up. Has it changed shape between last week and now?
Well, this season is coming, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to it. Let me just say that.
Well, the question is, are you feeling the Christmas vibes? What are you observing when you're on the street? You
Well,
think
no,
people getting into the spirit?
well, gradually, there are people who would say, people who don't have what it takes to have a real nice Christmas, they will say, I'm not taking on Christmas. But as soon as they get a little bit of money and stuff, you see them get busy. But right now, I'm not feeling it all that much as it used to be. And I think it's worse this year as compared to the rest of the years that it was taking a slow ride downhill. But I think this year it galloped some speed going downhill. And I'm not seeing that kind of Christmas vibe out there. At least that's not yet. We still have about 2 weeks to be exact, or 13 days plus some hours. And what I've noticed that normally you'd see a lot of people putting up Christmas lightings, not per se on trees, but along their houses and on their fences, and and the trees in the yard and stuff and thing. But I'm not seeing much of that. There's a particular place in St. Joseph in San Fernando where a guy, he lights up his whole property and he invites the children, he invites parents to bring the children there, and he'll treat them, and it's well lit and stuff. I also know that along the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, Valsin area, there were people there who I think the Bagwan Sings were responsible for that, and they used to light up the whole place. But I'm not seeing the kind of I'm not feeling the kind of vibe, and I'm seeing that people doing what we traditionally did as Christmas approaches. You see people doing a lot of cleaning up, a lot of painting, you know, um, extra work, in that cleanup drive towards Christmas. I'm not seeing much of that. Maybe it's because I'm not at home most of the time, but based on what I've seen, I won't say that people are so much into it from a traditional point of view. I don't know about in house, what is happening in house, but the vibe on the street is that people don't have the kind of disposable income as they would have liked to celebrate Christmas. They're custom celebrating Christmas. So I
Well,
guess
I
it's
think the politicians they worry about that. The politicians get increase in salary too,
no,
and
no, no. They don't worry
them
whether they
Christmas.
get increased or not. They don't worry. They always have a time. They hardly touch their salaries in the first place. They have so much perks and so much, you know. So they're good. They're good. They're good. People on the ground, the working class people. I think that's where it's impacting, especially to the folks who really can't afford it. Your guest is here.
Okay, Mr. Brown. Good afternoon. It's lovely to see you.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
I was speaking with David in the background. The voice in the background is David McIntyre. So I was
Hi,
chatting with her.
Grandiga.
Hi, David.
I was telling
I
Farid about your Trini Talk CDs and stuff, and Farid don't have a clue. All Farid knows about his barbecue, but he doesn't have a clue as to the kind of work you have done already from a
Yeah, that's
Trinbagonian
another side of me.
artistic point of view. Yes, yes.
All of which started at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, actually.
Hmm.
well,
Because I think
tell
the,
us something
the
about.
university is supposed to develop you all round. So that's what it did for me, not only academically, but culturally as well. So when I came on campus, there was a parent group, which I joined immediately.
The talents
Um,
you have for the performing arts, is that a talent that you would say you inherited or you cultivated?
I
Sometimes
think
you come
I
from a
think
background
it's
where
all
you
it's
have
all a
a
matter of the influences around you. Um, my mother was Venezuelan, so I had uncles who would come here to play parang. Uncle Raul, notably with his whole Seabright clan who he grew up with in Trinidad. So he'd leave Caracas, make his way to Guiria, and sometime early in the morning you'd hear him coming to you'd hear the strums of the cuatro accompanied by the Seabrights. Uncle Raul is here. So yeah, the influences were there. You're influenced by what is around you culturally. They all
The
play
thing
a
is, I
part.
grew up in church. I grew up in church and around music, but the influence of growing up around that didn't spark anything musical in me. I still can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play an instrument. It means that you would have had an innate talent, that ability would have been there, but it would have been activated or stimulated by your
I
environment.
suppose you
Do you
never got
think
the
that?
opportunity, but your environment does influence um, what you do later on.
Mhm.
So it's just a pity that you maybe your calling is elsewhere. You see how it is that you're involved in the media. What was the environment that caused you to move in that direction? You see, we all have a path in life.
Mhm. What instruments do you play in terms of musical instruments? What was
I
the
I
first
play the
instrument
I
you played?
play the maracas. I play the maracas. I'm happy on the maracas. I came
Oh,
into
so
the group first playing the tambourine and then I played the maracas. That happens in a group. You just fall into where there is a need for. So we have had situations where we have been without a quattro player, and Kathy and Joseph, for example, picks up the quattro. Keith Dalip is a fine example. We had no guitarist after Philip Allard left. Keith Dalip, self-taught, took up the guitar, and there was our lead guitarist for some 5 seasons.
wow.
So sometimes you're placed in situations, and once you're willing, everything else flows. It all flows into place.
When did the concept of Los Paranderos de Uy crystallize? When did you all come into existence?
It came into existence in 1980 out of a casual conversation between two students at UWI at the time, Nadia Farrell Jean and Ian D'Souza. Ian D'Souza being accomplished a guitarist with San Jose Serenaders at that time. So they decided that they should form a parent group. I mean, there were other cultural groups on campus, but there was no parent group. There was a folk choir, there's drama group, and they decided that they'd form a parent group. And in 1980, the parent group was born. So you had a lot of students from the Faculty of Arts doing Spanish, naturally falling in. Donna Marie Bertrand, people from the folk choir falling in. Okay, Patrick Bertrand, because Donna Marie Ali met Patrick in the Parang group and they became husband and wife. That's a husband and wife combination. coming out of Los Paranderos de UE, and Wayne Labastide from the folk group, folk choir as well. So you had a confluence of influences coming into play, and Los Paranderos de UE was born, bringing Parang to the hallowed halls of the University of the West Indies, something that was not there before. So when I came on campus, there was a Parang group to join, and I grasped the opportunity. I was given the opportunity to many, many students who have not been exposed to Parang, exposed to that art form, an opportunity, an outlet to participate in a Parang group. So it has played an important role over the years. So this year is our 44th, is our 44th anniversary, our 45th season. Next year will be our 45th anniversary. But nobody from 1980 is in the group to now. And people ask, how does a group survive for so long from 1980 to 2024? Okay, and nobody was there from the inception. It's a fine example of the oral tradition in practice. One group of students, the first group of students, passing on the songs to the new students that came in. So when I joined the group, two founding members were still there, namely Donna Marie Ali, later Bertrand. Well, Bertrand when I came on campus, and Patrick, who was the box bass player. They were foundation members. So they passed on the norms, the traditions, the songs. So it was oral tradition in play. And so it continued every year. As people graduated and new students came in, students would remain with the group, past students would remain with the group and pass on the songs and the traditions, and so Los Paranderos de UE has survived over the years until the semester system threatened that easy flow, that movement from, old students or graduating students to new students, because the semester system, American system, UE primarily was trimester system before the semester system was introduced in the early 90s. So with a trimester system, at the end of the first term, all you had to do was coursework. You had no exams. So it was easy to play Parang. But with a semester system, in those early days of the semester system in the early 90s, you had exams going down till the 22nd of December. Was virtually impossible for many students, current students, to join the Parang group as it was in my time when there wasn't a semester system. But the Parang group survived that primarily because there was a core of students who remained after graduating with the group. And so the traditions and the songs passed on.
Who did the writing and the composing for you all?
Who does the writing and the composing of our songs?
Yeah.
Well, we sing a variety of songs. Our repertoire is very wide. In the early days, the group, because of Ian D'Souza being an accomplished guitarist with San Jose, most of the early songs, most of the early selections of the repertoire were San Jose standards. What we found happening is that over the years, Los Paranderos de UE developed its own sound by composing, and it's something that started very, very early. It started with Donna Marie Bertrand, it continued with Keith Dallep. So Donna Marie Bertrand composed Salve Maria. You had Keith Dallep composing Canta, which was expanded later on and is an integral part of the repertoire up to today. And then you have members of the group, Desra Bascom, Sonja Gibbs, Robert Passad, who is very, very, very accomplished musician, getting together, giving music as well as lyrics to the songs, because their Spanish was their major. Sonja Gibbs, Desra Bascom, Spanish has always been their major. And Camille Renwick, who was musical director of Los Paranderos de UE for a number of years before she had to leave the group because she had a scholarship. She was awarded a Chiefling scholarship, so she was in England for a number of years. She composed the whole battery of aguinaldos for the group. You see, when you're in competition, you have to sing your own songs. It's a point that Henry Pereira makes. People beat up on competition, and sometimes they say negative things about it, but one of the positive things about it is that you have to compose your own songs. So when Los Paranderos de UE moved away from that stage of just being a campus aggregation and went into competition, what we found happening is that the impetus to write songs increased. Although it had begun before we went into competition, it increased when we did, because each year you had to compose a new selection. So the competition allowed you to develop a repertoire that was your own, and that's very, very important. Before we entered competition, for example, Philip Allard was part of the group, and his sister had penned Nacido. So we sang Nacido in the early days as well, okay, which other people weren't singing at that time.
A few years ago, I know we're live on YouTube and Facebook. A few years ago, I purchased a copy of the 35th anniversary booklet.
Yes.
So
35th anniversary booklet and CD. Yeah, we for each anniversary we aimed to produce a CD. That was a dream, because I think every Parang group, and it's something that we need to look at seriously. When we entered the arena, there are very few Parang groups who had recorded, and we thought it necessary, having been around so long, to record your own songs, simply because you record your own songs for posterity. Your own songs become part of the Parang storehouse of songs. Henry Pereira, for example, he made that point. Henry Pereira has a wide repertoire consisting of songs he has composed because of the competition arena that are virtual standards today. Paranda Fina is a song that many Parang groups sing, including us.
When we examine the repertoire in terms of your music, the band's music, you all have stayed very true to the, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, very true to the traditional Parang music. Yes. You haven't gone into that Parang soca and the double anta and your double anta that we see now. So when we hear like Kenny G had sang Alexander.
It started with Paintbrush in 1993.
Right.
And you see, each artist has their own style, so that Kenny J found that niche, but many people have jumped on that bandwagon. So Parang soca has lost some of its direction, in the sense that if you don't sing a Dumatand selection for any given season, it's not considered Parang soca. And what we find happening is that Parang soca has proliferated so much that the younger people tend to think that Parang soca is Parang. You see, we live in a plural society, a multicultural society. So mixing and merging must take place. But in mixing and merging, you should never, and you can never get away from the original, the source. So we talk about soca, but calypso is the source. We talk about Parang soca, but Parang is the source. So Los Paranderos de UE has over the years sung Parang soca selections. When Trini Christmas was released, it was so popular, we included it in our repertoire that season. When Strunter sang I Want a Piece of Pork, which is basically, it's true to the Parang tradition, because when you look at the melody, it's a warap. Okay, it's just English words. That's what Parang soca did. it brought the Parang music to those who didn't understand the Spanish. And Crazy started that genre right all the way back in 1978. So yes, it's an important part. It's an important part of the landscape, of the Christmas landscape. But we have to be careful because the paranderos, as Holly Bitodia used to say, are the shepherds carrying the good news to audiences and people they perform for. So you must always make sure that within your selection, whether it's sung in English or it's Spanish, it carries the message of Christmas.
Do you see Parang Soca and, as you pronounce it, Dubanta, as evolution?
It's Dubanta, it's French, Dubanta is the correct pronunciation. Just as Ja is the correct pronunciation, but the Americanisms get in our way. So people say genre. It's genre of music, it's French. Dubanta is also French. You have to pardon me, I did French at school.
No, I appreciate
so
the
I
correction.
pronounce it the proper way.
I appreciate the correction. Do you see that as do you see Parang Soca and Dubanta as a evolution arising out of or evolving out of the original Parang music, or you see that as a corruption?
Well,
because
you see, Dubata has always been part of the calypso landscape. You can't get away from that. It's part of that genre, okay? And what we found happening is that in order to boost your CD sales, boost your popularity, that calypso genre, okay, that calypso element of Dubatan came into the Christmas music, but it wasn't part of it before. You see, there's always been mixing and merging, Crazy made the transition by singing Parang, a story about a Parang situation where he entered a Parang competition and called the genre. The name of the song was Parang Soca. That album was a bestseller. So he started the trend. But if you look back before, you had paranderos using calypsos, putting them into a parang beat, okay, and singing them in Spanish. So Larry Collymore did sang Duke's Black is Beautiful in Spanish, okay, to a parang melody. And Lara Brothers took singing Francine's I Ain't Digging Nothing, which he sung in 77. They did it in 78. They took it, did a cover, and sang Spanish words, and the chorus was I ain't digging nothing. So there was mixing and merging going on all the time. You can't get away from that in a plural society. And what you found happening is that Crazy was the one who pushed it. So Shorty, for example, okay, the godfather of soca, okay, had recorded Leon Cadero and La Familia singing La Sapa. And when you listen to La Sapa, you hear the same. It was released in the same year that Crazy released his Parang Soca. La Sapa was very popular as well, and you could hear the fresh songs of soca in the Parang. So the mixing and merging is not a problem, but the elements of one must not overshadow the other. So the paranderos have always sung on the Christmas story, okay? Hooray Hurrah is a fine example. Hooray Hurrah is sung in English. It was the second Parang Soca song, okay? So there was Crazy with Parang Soca, little comical situation of him taking part in a competition, and that began the move towards Parang Soca. And next year you had Reynold Howard, okay? All praise to him, okay? And for that inspiration that when you speak to him, he tells you, Hooray Hurrah was pure inspiration. And it's a nacimiento. It tells the story of Christmas in Parang style, Parang Soca. So it's English words, but it's Parang all the way. So I think, more artists need to recognize that they have a responsibility to tell the story, tell about the joy of Christmas, whatever you're singing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a nacimiento or annunciation, but so many Christmas stories have been told in our Christmas calypsos before, and we need to revisit, what we sing about, and move away from that Dubatan. It's getting to be too much. Everybody's singing a Dubatan. Everybody's singing a Dubatan. I don't want to call any songs as examples. We all know them.
When you examine your band's repertoire, do you all, when you have gigs or when you go on tour, do you all mix that the presentation or the
But of
repertoire?
course, so Hooray Hurrah, for example, as I said, we have sung Parang Soca selections in our repertoire over the years. Hooray Hurrah, Hooray Hurrah is sung by us on our third CD. Okay, because when we went to the Christmas Folk Festival, when we were invited to the Christmas Folk Festival for the first time, an English-speaking country is going to this Christmas Folk Festival in Curacao, we wanted to demonstrate that we sing a whole range of songs. So Hooray Hurrah became part of that repertoire primarily because we wanted to demonstrate that. So we translated Hooray Hurrah. It was not difficult. It was not difficult in terms of music. We didn't have to change the music because, as I said, the music was Parang. Okay? Reynold Howard gathered together the best musicians he could find. Ronnie Kalicharan, God rest his soul. Wayne Flores on Quattro. So that Parang, that pulsating Parang beat and rhythm was there in Hooray Hurrah. So all we had to do was translate it into Spanish. So that has remained part of our repertoire. Anywhere we go, we sing it. There's also Joanne Briggs's composition, Paranda Dulce, which I wish the radio stations would play a lot more of, but I suppose it's not Dubatan, so it doesn't fit the cut. She's talking about the joy of Parang, just as Me Paranda, which you played before we entered into conversation to introduce the show. Me Paranda is a composition by Robert Pazad celebrating the music of Parang. And so many, there's so many things you can do with the genre in terms of Parang Soca. And notice I'm saying Parang Soca because remember, Crazy started the genre. He labeled it Parang Soca, and suddenly we hear everybody saying Soca Parang, Soca Parang, Soca Parang. It tells us that genre of that Dubatan, okay, that is an element of Calypso, has basically taken over the Parang Soca. That's how I view it.
What are some of the challenges that musicians who perform in this genre face outside of the season? Do you think that it's essentially a seasonal sort of music, or you think
Well,
it's
it has become that's part of the landscape. That's part of the tradition in Trinidad. But Parang music can, you see, our Coco Payol ancestors, the people who preceded us, who spoke the language, who were speakers of the language. So English was their second language rather than their first. Spanish was their first. You had a number of different varieties of Parang. So you have the traditional Aguinaldo, which tells a holy story. So at Easter, there's a whole ritual surrounding the Coco Payol culture and the Coco Payol communities, where songs were sung at Easter time. Parang songs were sung at Easter time. So it was all year round. So Parandero could sing a warrap at any time of the year because it's not about Christmas.
Does your band get a lot of coverage through the air, traction through the air? Do you all tour outside of the season, or what sort of reception do you all?
Well, outside of the season, it's very difficult because Los Paranderos de Yui is one of its characteristics is that the people that comprise Los Paranderos de Yui are very busy people. So we make sacrifices. We make sacrifices because we love the Parang. And therefore, for that block of time, from September to December, we are dedicated to Parang. But outside of that, it becomes very difficult because many of us have other commitments. I am a performer outside of being a parandero. I was a teacher for 37 years. Okay, some people are vets, some people are pilots. It's some people are engineers. So it's very, very difficult to give that time. So we see how difficult it is when we, in those years that we have brought out a CD. So we'd start rehearsals, okay, in the season, and they'd continue throughout the year before we lay down those tracks in time for the celebration of the anniversary. And season 2003 and 2004 were particularly difficult because we brought out a CD in 2003 and then we brought out another CD in 2005 to celebrate our 25th anniversary. So that period, okay, that period was, I never forget those years. Sacrifices were made on the part of all members of Los Paranderos to make sure that these recordings were ready on time for the start of the season and the celebration of our anniversaries.
Tell us about the song "Mi Piranda." My reading was that was one of your first recordings. Mi Piranda would have been one of Los Panderos.
Mi Piranda was not one of the first recordings. Mi Piranda was the first recording. The first recording. And what we decided to do on Mi Piranda, rather than, okay, we said we leave that for the 25th anniversary, we'll give them our music, because producing a CD and recording was always an aim of the group. And therefore all our winnings, okay, we didn't go to anybody hand in glove, okay, begging for money and begging for sponsorship. We wanted to do this ourselves. So all our winnings from competition went towards the production of our first CD. And we said that in our first CD, yes, we'd have some of our selections, but we didn't want it to be Los Paranderos de Yui, Los Paranderos de Yui. What we wanted to do was pay tribute to the stalwarts who have made such a sterling contribution to the art form over the years. So there was Gloria Alcazar, the first female lead singer in the Parang arena, and that is very interesting because in the early days before Gloria, lead singers in Parang groups were male. As a matter of fact, the Parang group was predominantly male. There were no females. So when San Jose took the decision to make Gloria Alcazar their lead singer, okay, it caused consternation in some quarters, but they were determined, and she broke that glass ceiling. When you talk to people from that era, I was a boy, so I heard Gloria on the radio. You see, San Jose was able to break through a very important barrier by recording, and Gloria was their lead singer. So for many of us in the 70s, when we talk about Parang, we talk about Gloria and San Jose Serenaders. Gloria is an important part of our Parang history because she broke the glass ceiling and therefore paved the way. So when you look at Parang groups today, you see females in the lead. All that is because of Gloria. So Clarita came after and Daisy came after. Okay, but Gloria was the one who broke the ice. People of that era will tell you that when they go to an NPAT bandwagon festival, when they go to the particular venue for that particular weekend, the audiences would mob Gloria. Gloria was very popular. She was breaking new ground. would have been a beautiful period to have seen. I didn't see it, but I've heard the stories.
How do you develop over a 40-year, 44-year cycle a song that is synonymous with your band? Would you say that Los Paranderos de Ui has developed a brand around a particular song, or you all have
Yeah,
to?
each band has their own sound as it plays together, and what is crucial there is the membership of the group. Once your membership, you have a core that stays together. It helps the sound of the group, and we have been fortunate that we've had a core of members who have remained with the group. This current crop of Los Paranderos de Ui can be traced right back to 2002, okay, to the early 90s, okay. Joanne Briggs, for example, joined the Parang group in 1990. Robert Passad joined the group in 1994. Then you had others who joined in 2000, Dejra Bascom and myself, okay, are the oldest members in the group. We have been there since 83 and 84 respectively. So once you have that core of members, be they musicians or singers, it gives you a particular sound. And your lead singers are particularly important because the music is important, yes, but the lead singers are important to giving you that song. So Mi Paranda, as you would have played before we began the discussion, Mi Paranda is sung by Robert Passad, who is our male lead vocalist. And the other selection, Canta, was sung by Joanne Briggs, who is our female lead vocalist. Both of them being in the group since the 90s, the early 90s.
Are there any particular instruments that are essential to a Parang production, to the music, that you can't do without it? In other words, instruments that are recognized as a staple to Parang music. Without that, for instance, you say some instruments you can't escape. The marak, it's something that if you don't hear that, you feel like you're not at a Parang.
It's not Parang. Yeah, the quattro too. Marak, quattro, and box bass. Particularly important. And then you add a guitar to that. Okay, but without those, you can function without a mandolin, but people have sung in soca Parang that you have no Parang unless you have a mandolin man. And this year we found a very, very interesting Parang soca selection sung by Harry D, I think it is, box bass. He uses the music of Separala Tambien, which was originally sung by Larry Collymore. Yeah. He uses that. He puts English lyrics to it and came up with a beautiful Parang soca selection. It's on the lips of everybody this season. And I wish more of that would take place. Because if you're singing Parang soca, let's be true to the Parang genre and sing the Parang. So he may be starting a trend where other artists may look at taking a Parang song, okay, a Parang selection, and putting English words to it. It's a trend that should be encouraged. Just as some Paranderos took calypsos, and as I mentioned earlier, the Lara brothers, Larry Collymore, singing Black is Beautiful and singing Francine's I Ain't Digging Nothing. That has happened before. That happened before the genre vivant Parang soca was thought about. So the mixing and merging, you see, the mixing and merging, once you live in a society that is as multicultural as us, as ours, you must find that mixing and merging taking place.
We've come to associate Parang music with string band music. How do you feel about the amplification of the music that would have been introduced through the years, where you have electronic music being added to it, and the band and the song being amplified and so on? Do you view that as part of the evolution?
Well, you think that you talk about technology and you talk about development, so all that is part of technology, but the original Parang, we must remember, because people talk about performances and performing for the people and performing for audiences. Remember Parang in its earliest form. Okay, the word parandear means to spree, to move from house to house. Parang was moving from house to house and singing your selections to people in the village, neighboring villages, the Cocoa Payol communities. That is what it was all about. And we found that over the years, Parang has evolved now. So you found an association, NPAT, being formed, and they put Parang on a stage. Okay, put Parang on a stage, so it entered a different dynamic. And if you put people on a stage, you can't put people on a stage and there's a big audience, okay, and no one can hear them unless you amplify it. So we've moved from the situation where, Parang was naturally, acoustic, to a situation now where it's amplified. It has to, once you're putting it on a stage. Once you put any art form on a stage, okay, you're going to find that you need amplification. So the early Shantwell singing in the carnival bands, in the bands at carnival time, they didn't have any mics. They would do their Kalinda chants, and everybody would sing the chant. But from the time you take that, it means now you take it out of that and you bring it in, you create a calypso tent. Okay, there's need for amplification. So once you move from one stage, the folk stage, what is purely the folk stage, and you make the transition to performance for an audience, whether it is paying or whether it is free, there must be amplification. So that's one of the changes that comes naturally with the transition.
I think just a second, Mr. Dr. Goddard, you have to take your volume off. We're getting some feedback from your end. I think okay, good. He recognizes that he's on. Dr. Goddard, are you hearing us?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, great.
Hi, Pelham,
We're getting some feedback on your end.
Well, I'm not in the about TV on there.
I think you may have to lower the volume on your TV. We're getting some feedback on the TV. Yeah.
We get some feedback on the phone. Watching that.
Hey, you know what else doesn't change? You and me.
That'll take off the TV.
Yeah. Testing 1, 2. You hear that?
We hearing you clearly. It's just the background was a bit a confluence of song.
All right then. Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Goddard, it's good to see you. We have Mr. Miguel Brown with us.
That's my boy.
About,
That's my boy, man. That's my boy.
And Pelham, you see, Pelham was instrumental in those early stages of the Parang Soca, because he was the one who arranged Hurrah. And Hurrah was just as a monster, big monster like its predecessor, the season before Parang Soca.
Yeah.
So it didn't die. It was important that the next year we get a Parang Soca that would be just as big a monster as Parang Soca.
I think Francine did repeat the next year too. She had a next year.
Yeah, she had Parang.
Parang, right.
And then she went on in 81. Reynolds got all his compositions together with. She was the one to first Calypsonian to release a full-length Parang Soca album. Christmas is Love.
Dr. Goddard, we getting some feedback from the background by you still, but tell us something, Dr. Goddard. What is your view on the amplification of the traditional string band Parang music? Are you of the view that the technology has added value, evolved the Parang music, or it has negatively impacted on the authentic Parang music?
All right. The authentic Parang music, right? The audience might be about how much? 500 people. Small audiences. When they go in the bigger audiences, like in Arima Park, Arima Tennis Court. Them is big venues. They're going back into big venues. You're catering for more people, right? So more people will mean that people have to hear you. Or so you have to get amplification, microphones, and this and thing, everything amplified. The box bass, they don't amplify the box bass. They still have the box bass. But the instrument in front, the control and all that, they still play acoustic. And the microphones, they will just put the microphones in front of the singers and things. But you need amplification at that point for people to hear you. That just like in song reinforcement, you call it, right? When I came into the music, right, with Esquires and all that, we was playing with just two short speakers at the side with our band, right? Although the organ and the piano and the electric guitar and they had the amplifier, right? But then we come out now to a bigger audience. You're talking about Down Holiday in Car Park. You're talking about Lions Car Park. You're talking about Down St. John Car Park. You need to be heard. You need a bigger sound system for those places. You know?
What is your view when we examine the Parang music in terms of the authentic music Nacimiento de Aguinaldo? What is your view now as in Parang soca has come and soca has been infused into the Parang music? Do you see that as something evolutionary or something negative?
No, I don't think that it's something negative. We could treat it like how they have soca now. The soca have the artists on a party level, and the Calistonians are the artists on a 10th level. So it on a different performance level. It's just like you will see Calistonians singing in Marshall Monday and all that. But you will see at the same time, it's only last year Marshall went to the 10th and sing. So they both have the thing. Parang, it will not affect the Parang Deros and they do different things. The soca Parang people have their own marketing strategies they use, right? And the Parang Deros have their own marketing strategies they use. But what used to happen too is to have Parang competition that would pull the interest into the Parang season.
Mm-hmm.
So you find people like all Lara brothers, like Limos, and all these people used to be in Arima in the competition. Then they go Superior. Then they go, the places where the Parang day. But I don't think it will affecting the soca artists Trinidad is a multicultural place. It have different things happening at the same time, and people like to be different. They don't want the same thing all the time. But somebody will come up with, like Shorty, for instance. Callisto was going, everybody following the tent, listening to Callisto. Shorty come out and say he want to go something strange, the action of Carnival, with the new, right? He changed the action to soca. I don't think it have an effect on it.
Mr. Brown, when it is we, as a performer of traditional Parang music, do you think that it's easy for a traditional performer, a performer who performs traditional Parang music, do you think the transition into Parang soca is easier, or you think that it's easier for a soca artist to get into Parang than a Parang artist to get into soca?
I suppose it's what you feel. Okay, it's what you feel. You could be playing Parang and again, as I say all the time, and it's something that we live in a multicultural society, so there are a whole set of influences around you. So whatever influences you will drive you in a particular direction.
Look, when you're in a studio, you got to record a song, right? Somebody have a song, a raw composition, right? And you start getting vibes that they say of this song. You don't know, sometimes you just turn to Parang soca, or you might say, I want it to be authentic soca. You didn't know. So when you start to put chords and bass and rhythm and all that, everything cooking like a pill out then. Everything coming. You have a new genre of music that was created right there that you wasn't looking out for. That's always be the case, you know. Um, I got in the early when I did Rose going out San Fernando. They wanted our next song for the back of the record, and the other song named Action is Tight. And then I put in the feeling of that song was like a disco-ish, jazzy, funky kind of thing situation. Didn't that happened just so in the studio, things that happen by your girl happened just so in the studio. We don't. That was supposed to be like a calypso,
So
right?
did Sugar Bum Bum just
Sugar Boom
happened in the
Boom,
studio. It's a
right?
fine example.
I find
Okay, so
example.
it was
That
Ed
was a
Watson's
calypso.
music and Kitchener put the lyrics there. They just
Yeah,
wanted one more tune for the album, and that
yeah,
one more tune for the album was the hit on the album.
yeah. And we are so versatile, right? Alicia Jagger started sing calypso too, but she could sing parang also, you know. So she could sing soca parang, because these parangeros too, they sing scrunter and them songs. Right now in their
Joan Briggs,
performance.
our lead singer, sings
Yes,
started. She was a winner of the Guardian Calypso competition one year, and she used to enter that competition every year. So
right.
being part of a parang group doesn't limit you that you
Yeah,
only sing
no,
in
no.
parang.
Yeah,
Okay, in a multicultural society, that doesn't happen.
yeah.
You're exposed to so much, so you could be involved in several
Right.
different things at the same time.
Yeah.
It's our strength, and it could be also a weakness, but I regard it as a strength.
Dr. Goddard, in your field as a musician and as a producer and arranger, um, when you have to work with someone, putting together, if I may say, a track, putting together music, um, are there certain things that you look for in producing a parang song? Are there things that you definitely don't want? For instance, I want to just allude. If it is, we have a song like Sprangalang's Bring Drinks. Do you see that
Yeah.
as a deviation that has gone too far away from the authenticity of the music, and that has, see it as a distraction away from, let's say, stressing
Now,
on the birth of Christ and so on?
the first thing about it with Sprangalang is a comedian, right? So you think a comedian will go and do a genre of music that is ordinary. He will sing like a calypso. He will sing. He want people to laugh and at the same time enjoy what he's doing, right? Um, but he will not stick to parang feel to say bring drinks, and that will be different. You go to a person's house and they tell them bring drinks. It's Christmas time, so they want to drink. You know what I mean? Nothing.
This is an
I
important
just say
point because you see,
nothing is
Sprangalang has its own persona. So
right.
sometimes somebody has their own persona and they sing a song and nobody else can sing it. Could you say, imagine somebody else singing Bring Drinks? It would
Yeah.
not have the same impact as Sprangalang
You see,
singing Bring Drinks
you
because
see
it's part of his own persona.
what
Just like
happened.
Crazy singing Me Muchacha or
Yeah,
his original Parang Soca. It's part of Crazy's
yeah,
persona, doing these crazy things, going up to see this Parang singer whine. Okay,
yeah.
it's crazy. For somebody else to sing that, it would be very difficult because it's not part of their persona.
I think at our point of in culture in Trinidad, because we're so multicultural, we tend to analyze things a little too hard, you know. You know, what is Callisto, what is soca, what is parang, what is parang soca, what is chutney, what is, you know, and you have to keep mixing things all the time. You don't know what. Sometimes you do a song that you know well it's a Callisto or it's a soca, but when it reach out there, it just sound ordinary to the people. And when it's something, it has something about music that if it's different, Shadow is the main example to that. Once it's different, people will take to it. But once it seems like it's the same thing, because you analyze it as a soca, a parang or whatever, it is something different the people will be looking out for in all releases. And that don't happen in Trinidad alone, you know. You know,
Everywhere.
everywhere. It happen all about, you know. It happen all about.
What, in your view, Dr. Goddard, would be the key instruments that you would think would be necessary in order to put a Parang song into focus?
Well, now you're talking about the instruments now. I will want to use banjo, mandolin, flute, and all these other things. And then um, the clavi, what we call a tok tok, is the name of clavi, CLAVI. That tok tok, that will give it the flavor and the marac. You have these 5 instruments in the song, and after that, you could put your electric bass if you want. You could put out drums, you could put out that. But once you have these elements of these instruments on top of the colors of the whatever it is, you know, that will make a difference to the music, you know. Once you have the elements, you must have the elements of parang soca, parang and mandolin, banjo, flute, marac, clavi, and all that. And if you want to put a feel of a box bass in there, you can put a box bass with a soca too. But it's just that the box bass doesn't have the notation of a guitar bass. That if you play a guitar bass, you'll have could be a bass line. You know, they go with the box bass for the bottom end of the music. When I say the bottom end, I'm talking about mixing now, and the frequency of the bottom end. The box bass going doop 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 doop, but you cannot follow the notation of the box bass. You know, so people that want to put a guitar bass to play that. You know,
Now, you all are musicians. Yeah, I'm not. When you look at the use of the box bass and the electric bass, do you think they complement each other or they subtract from?
as I said just now, the electric bass will give you the notation of the music, like music does follow a progression, right? Of chords. Once you because you remember you have chords playing the control and the thing playing chords. So what the guitar bass will do is analyze those chords by playing the bass line to the music. But what the box bass does now, if you don't have a guitar bass, the box bass do the bottom end to the you have highs, mids, and lows. The lows, the box bass will give you the lows in the music because remember a parent group really do have a drum set, you know, to with kick drum and stuff. But it's a doop 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 doop. That the bottom end, the feel of the music is that, you know. And if you come in with a guitar bass, then you might want a drum set to play with it, you know. So every instrument have its own characteristics, you know. You know, it's what you're using it for.
How do you feel about the introduction of the national instruments in the Parang music? The use of the pan. A lot of bands are using a tenor pan now.
That's
Um,
good. That's
do you
good. They
think
could,
the marriage is an
yeah,
equally yoked marriage?
instrumentation in music. There's always you don't have to, you know. Say if you use a pan, it wouldn't be parang. Or if you use a pan, you're changing the parang feeling or whatever it is. the pan is an instrument. So it will play lines that will complement what the singer singing or whatever. It will be strumming, clang, 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 right? It play like accompanying lines and so on. Just like a mandolin will accompany. So you can imagine a mandolin and a tenor pan complementing the singers when they sing. That will sound good. I have no problem with that.
Mr. Brown, do you all at Los Paranderos do we make use of the national instrument in your music, or that is something that?
We do have a pan player among us. No.
Okay, but how do you feel based on the? I mean, you're involved in the industry.
Well, I said we live in a
of-
multicultural society. Pan is the national instrument, and
Right.
I say it all the time because some people tell you, we can't play that tune because it's not suited to pan. If pan is a national instrument, it could be able to play anything.
Anything.
And that pan assembly album, I can't remember the year. It would have been the late 80s. If you bought a KFC, you could buy a pan assembly album for what price? I think it was $20. That demonstrated how much the pan could be incorporated into the parang. Last year, for example, there was a competition. There was an initiative by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, or Tourism, Culture and the Arts. What you found happening is that they had a pan parang competition where you had parang groups performing, and they must have pan as part of their ensemble. And not just the tenor pan one, there were several pans as part of the aggregation.
All right.
Once in a plural society, that mixing and merging will continue.
Yeah.
And we don't know where the mixing and merging will take us.
And it's all
the
our
mixing
local.
and merging will take place.
Yeah.
Dr. Gordon, in the work that you do, being a musician, being an arranger, and so on, and your years steeped in the industry, where does voicing feature? Every performer has a voice. Baran has a voice that speaks for itself. Scrunter has a voice that sells itself. How do you feel as in terms of voicing when you have to work with an artist who wants to do a parang song or do parang music? Do you see Scrunters and Baron's sound? And I'm just using them as examples. I mean, you would have had a different experience with other persons. For instance, if you look at Francine's voice, everybody has a song and a voice. Do you think some voices are more suited to this sort of genre, or do you think that it's all about how you make use of your song?
Scrunter, Baron, Francine, all of them is Calistonian before Parang, Not so? So, right. So they had their voice, and they could sing anything as long as they find the key. The whole thing about music is key, You see where on a piano, it's 12 notes in the circle, right? That two whole tone scale in the circle. That's it. And the piano follows the 12 notes right through until it reaches 88 notes. So if somebody's voice could go to 2 octaves, 3 octaves, 2 octaves and a half, you understand? Like, for instance, Sparrow could sing anything. It doesn't matter. Once they find a key and the voice can sing whatever, they can sing. The key is more important than the tone of the voice. The key, sometimes somebody have a tone of voice and you put them in the wrong key to sing. I don't hear that on the radio. Sometimes I hear a song that the person's voice doesn't suit the voice first, but the key doesn't suit the song. If you play wrong with the voice and say, all right, go up higher, come down lower, you can't make this note, you can't make that note. And those guys could have, Francine and them could have sing anything, they could sing calypso, Francine sing a whole set of love songs in everybody key.
She started singing ballads. you see,
Ballads, yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta sing apart from that. Baron is the same thing.
Yeah,
Baron
Baron
all
was
them
a
old
singer.
love songs and all that and everything. Scrunter is a Calypsonian that have one thing I think about Scrunter too. Scrunter have a natural, what should you say? I would say country feeling for the lack of a better word. You know, from Grandy, and he have a real kind of feeling in
Which
it when he
lent
comes.
to, which lent to the Parang, which lent to his
anything.
intrusion into the Parang soca
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. I sing Madame Jeffrey
Yeah.
and all the things. You know, you get a feeling of in the country, you went Parangin alone and all that kind of thing. You want a piece of pork, all them things. You have soca singers.
Yeah, you see, and the storyline is important.
Yeah,
Scrunter
storyline.
always has a storyline.
Yeah. Scrunter is a wild meat.
That's made.
When you see
so
Scrunter, you
successful.
think about wild meat and and tattoo and pork and all kind of things. You have a kind of natural feel about it. Scrunter.
Dr. Goddard, you're practically a Trinidadian New Yorker. How does Parang music how is that received out there? Do you
For Parang to happen out here, somebody had to bring a show, right? You know, like Bees Records and them bringing a show out here. But in New York and then when you go by the mall and things, you're still hearing White Christmas and all these other tunes. And as we talking about Parang and soca and Parang soca, we should be happy that Trinidad have their own Christmas music. Our own Christmas music. We don't have to sing everything like snow and all that. You know, we don't have to sing that. We have generated over the years our own feel of Christmas, what it is, right? They don't have that anywhere else.
Yeah, you see, and the calypso is important in bridging that gap. So
Right.
whereas you heard on the radio, you know, White Christmas, you know, you found that since the 70s there was a whole, and Kitchener sang Bring a Rum and a Punch of Creamer long before the Black Power Revolution in 70. But the 70s ushered in a whole string of Christmas calypsos, even before the birth of Parang soca.
Yeah.
Okay. So Francine had a Christmas calypso before she sang Hooray Hurrah. Okay. Wellington had a Christmas calypso. Nelson, Party for Santa Claus, all those were staple related Christmas on Sesame Street.
Related to,
we could go on and on listing all the Christmas calypsos that were sung before the birth of Parang soca.
Yeah.
So we were always looking for that way to find ourselves and express ourselves. Our tropical Christmas, which is not about mistletoe and snow.
Snow.
And Frankie Atwell, something that they should play more on the radio. White Christmas. I grew up hearing that. Have you ever seen a White Christmas? Such places I've never been.
Right.
I've never seen snow. Okay. The closest I come to any snow is when I buy snow cone down the street. Why don't we hear that on the radio? We have a whole generation that's never heard that.
Yeah.
But I grew up on that.
What about Lennox Gray?
Lennox Gray around my Christmas tree. And Shalala Christmas. Important Christmas calypso.
We talk about sorrel.
Put the sorrel in the sun to dry.
Right, yeah.
So our own images in our own music, creating our own brand of Christmas.
That's what I say. Instead of we analyze a little too hard on our genres, no. Because it's our own artists who break all that feel. And listen, all this music does happen. The Trinidadians don't have big companies like Columbia and all that to record. The people that take the money out of their pocket and go in a studio and produce these things, you know. They are their own producers. We don't have no producers in Trinidad to say a big company producing no music again. Right? In America, all the White Christmas and all that kind of thing. That was like Columbia Records, this big record company, APEC, so and all of that. So our people who doing their thing, let's we gotta thank God for that. It's a natural.
Mr. Brown, our music will be more or less a labor of love in keeping with what Dr. Goddard is saying. You have people, persons like yourself and bands like Los Paranderos de Hui, who would produce music on the basis of, what I would say, you all have a love for the Parang.
A lot of the culture in Trinidad is
Yeah.
basically a love for the art form, a love for the arts.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
how
would
people
say,
regard you. So there are many people who would call the parent group and want the parent group to perform for free.
Yeah.
That's part of our culture too. And I'm sure Pelham would get that at points in time in his career.
I see on Facebook Alicia Jagasa begging companies who want to take them for less than nothing. A whole group,
Yeah.
you know. But we do it for the love. I don't think it have any of our artists, Calistonians, soca singers, or whoever who could say, look, you know, like how the big artists in America, they have a $9 million house, or they have this and that and the other. We just do things for the love. We make some money just to go in the grocery to buy a thing. We might want a car, we might want a house, yes, and all that. But it have no big, we doing that out of any, we have no contract. Nobody have no contract on the thing. Everybody just doing things out of their own merit, you know.
the Parang they wrote, Mr. Brown, that yes, he's doing it out of the love of the music and the love of the art form. You were saying earlier that your band, your membership, they have substantive or core professions, and then they sing. If we were put it this way, on a part-time basis during a particular.
Yes, it's not full time.
Right. Dr. Goddard, do you see a Parangdero making it in the industry as an individual artist, or making it as part of a group? Do you see groups living on the performance of that sort of music? Do you think the market is out there for that?
I don't think anybody that live out of the music, like Trinidad is a loving place as far as culture is concerned, but it's not to a paying place for where culture is concerned. People, it's always had to negotiate, you know, and a parandero charge a X amount of money, and whoever want to hire them, you might find it too much, and they will go lower than that to get something lower for the thing. So it doesn't matter if they're the queen of Parang or whatever, would they get somebody with a lower price, they will take it, you know. And it happened to me too. Somebody hire me to do a show, to put a band together to do a show in Queen's Hall. And because I charge them X amount of money, they leave my name and go for a lesser name. That's what, you know. It's a time of respect.
So sometimes it's not a for on that from their perspective. You see, the person putting on the show, the producer, it's not about quality of music and that we're getting Pelham Goddard who is the best. If I could get somebody for low, I will go with that because my profit's going to be enhanced.
Right.
See? So it all comes down to dollars and cents for producers.
And the producer now, the parandero, for the parandero to go on the stage, you had to go and buy, you had to buy clothes, you put gas in your car. You have
to hire the sound system.
You hire the sound system.
With us, we have developed a relationship with our song person over the years.
He was
at UE, but not every band has that.
For you to rehearse 3 times a week, 4 times a week, it costs money for you to go there to rehearse. You know, and all of that. So nothing adding up at all, but they will still do it because of the love of it. I run in a studio since 1993, right? And I can't say, well, I make X amount. I'm not like Columbia Records or nobody else. You understand? My studio just there when the Californian come, they pay what they want to pay and they go on. I pay the music for them and they go on their way. Which is wrong for me too. But what I could do, I know the Californians go on there. The tent. I called a Californian the other day. Yesterday, I said, so when the tent open the 27th of January. I said, so only getting 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We can't get 4 weeks. Because after 2 weeks, the tent are closed. So a fella coming to you to record. He making the money why charging him. He might even make that a week.
And you see, compare that with times past when the Calypso tent used to open
Right.
on the 7th of January and go right
right
down,
to
right down to
So
Carnival Friday.
out there,
Okay? So if Carnival was later,
Read.
they may open a week later, but you had basically, how many weeks of a Calypso tent? So it tells you how time has changed. Nowadays, it seems that the Calypso tent is the fat. It's not the Calypso tent. You see, and it's something that Pellan was talking about the division. Before, we didn't have those divisions in Calypso, even when soca was there. So you could have gone and hear the same Shorty singing soca, the same Rudder singing soca, the same Blue Boy singing soca, Ronnie McIntosh, all of them were in the tent. Now, what we're seeing happening is that they're out of the tent and in the fete. Okay? So where people going to the fete to see the soca artists? So we've had that division in Carnival between soca and Calypso, which wasn't there before.
I say maybe, what happened to is our small country. We come like a little mango tree. Very late with talent. And you can get,
Yeah.
Let me tell you, in the 70s, early 70s, it had 2 studios in Trinidad. One is K Studio, and one was, Max Sauer was in Woodbrook, right? Then Max Sauer and Cage. Then it had Sem. Right? So like 3.
Road.
Right. Then they opened a studio down Chagarama and this Shack. Right? Then Amal came out. All right? Then during Amal came out now, people start opening home studios. Because that was your home studio. You have a room, you have a microphone, and you have some nice equipment inside it. Right? So I have a studio in Agra Street. Right around me, I have studio. Every corner and every block in Trinidad have a studio. Right? To record who? How much people? Everybody going in there to record.
So whereas before it was so difficult to record, okay?
Right.
Because somebody would have to produce you. You can't just go in the studio because you don't have that money. Somebody has to produce you. And they would choose who they want to produce.
Right.
They'd obviously produce or choose a Calypsonian who they know whose records would sell. So not every Calypsonian would have the opportunity to record. Some Calypsonians were luckier than others. Some paranderos were luckier than others. Some parent groups were luckier than other parent groups.
And I will
now recording has become easier because there's so many home studios.
It's a laptop.
Yeah.
Right. But you could imagine, all you could do the maths and figure out to carry a band in a studio years ago. Right? 5 horns. Drums, guitar, bass, piano. There are 9 people already. Then the percussion side was congas, cowbells, and iron. Right? About over 12 people, this and that. Right? So the Calypsonian or the producer had to pay each musician, right? Let's say you're getting $200 a track, a song, or whatever. A matter of fact, when I started was $12 a song, right? And it went up. Then they had to buy tape. Then they had to say studio time.
And tell them don't forget the chorus group.
The chorus group.
The chorus group, which sometimes cause problems.
What about the jacket?
When Shadow went in to record Bassman and Straker told him that he had to pay for the chorus group, he almost didn't record Bassman. That's one of the stories that hasn't been told. Okay. he almost did not record Bassman, and it was Valentino and Danny Boy said, we will sing chorus for you. And so Bassman was recorded.
Then you had to pay what about the jacket? You had to get color separation. Then you had to go to a printer. Then you had to buy the board to make the jacket. So that cost, when that cost come up there, Kitchener record might have been costing all $60,000 in that time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and they're bringing out record. Now I record with a laptop, some rhythm, and a voice. That's all. You have no brass to pay. You have no extra guitar man to pay. You know?
Does that subtract from the quality of the music? I would imagine in some way it will impact on it.
Well, it impact on it, yes, because when multi-track came out, the other era where you had to go and overdub things, right? So you'll put on the drum, the piano, the guitar, the bass. That was it. And some percussion. Then you will go home, take that cassette, and now go to arrange that piece of music from the rhythm. Right? Now, that same rhythm with a voice is a finished product. The same rhythm I'm talking about with a voice is a finished product now. You know?
So, one, in this environment, in this current environment where you have rhythm, voice, you're working with a laptop, artists could pop up from all about like wild grass.
That is the point.
That's exactly what's happening.
That is what I tried to
That's exactly what Pelham is saying.
Yeah. That's how we ended up with new artists and all that. So they bowed and then we have a point now where the DJs on the radio now, right? They not hearing no bar and I think Carnival time, Scrunton and them ain't playing now. Carnival time now, all these Californians are not playing again. So because you have these younger people who feel they're young on the radio and they want to play everything. We grew up in a time with Bob Gittins, Sam Granny, David Cockham later on,
Hazel
Ward, and all these people who
Selma
respect the music and for what it was. If you carry a record by these people and they'll find a song and go, that'll go back in the studio.
It's not up to standard to be played.
Right. And all of them now, they know who master and who this and that. They know everything. They never go to study it, but they know about mastering and everything in Trinidad.
Mr. Brown, when we consider the cost factors involved in producing music and in keeping a band alive, do you all make enough money to cover your expenses in a performance?
Yeah, over the course of the season, yes. Yeah. Okay. It has become harder over the years. Okay, it has become harder over the years. I mean, I remember in my early days, we'd be playing out every single night in the run-up before Christmas. Okay. That hasn't been happening in a long time. And then you have NPAT, the National Parang Association of Trinidad and Tobago, would get a subvention from the government. So there was a Parang bandwagon. So you'd have Parang from the time you had Republic Weekend, the weekend after that, the Parang bandwagon would begin. And every week, 1 week in San Rafael, in Tabaquite, in Pointe-a-Pierre, different parts of the country playing Parang. We haven't, the National Parang Association hasn't gotten a subvention from the government for years. And so therefore that bandwagon is absent from the landscape. But all credit to NPAT for, being, taking the initiative and House Parang is where it started. So let's do that. Let's find a venue in a particular place. The Parang group will play, and then they will go from house to house. Each Parang group will go to a different house. So it's a creative way and a very ingenious way to deal with a difficult situation where you do have the money to put on a full-fledged bandwagon as you used to. There's no parang competition. As Pelham was saying, that was so much part of the landscape in the parang arena, that there's a parang competition in Arima. The finals were held in Arima. So after all these venues, you chose out the semi-finalists, and then from the semi-finalists, you had finalists. We were all part of that when we joined the association in 1993. And it was a very rewarding experience because we met so many older heads who we were able to talk to and learn so much from. So that forum is very important. It's no longer there. There hasn't been a parang competition since 2016.
Wow.
Why is it that the government or the state, Mr. Brown, isn't supporting NPAT or supporting the Parang?
Well, as I say all the time, Parang doesn't have that mass appeal, so Parang wouldn't bring them votes. So they just ignore it. They don't see it as important. Plain and simple. Plain talk, bad manners.
Dr. Goddard, you've been involved with as musical director and arranger with Exodus Steel Orchestra. What role do you see steel bands playing in developing or providing a space for this genre of music? Has Exodus been? I know Exodus years ago used to have a show at Queen's Hall where they work in collaboration. I believe it was Signal Hills Choir.
We did Lydians one time, 2 times, and we did Signal Hill.
Yeah.
We do parang too. It had, a matter of fact, at one time it had parang competition for steel band, you know. But since Panchin Diego start with Panorama now, at this stage, the thing that went out the window. But it used to have parang steel band competition, and bands used to play. I remember band. I did tunes for play with Woodbrook Playboys to go Arima and play with parang in a parang competition, and thing. But everything is because of money, you know. People find that if they're bringing in enough thing, they look at let me show you an example. Invaders had one of the biggest steel band parang shows. They had pork
and parang.
They started down in I think in Lions or St. John.
Mm-hmm.
And it grew so big. They had a quite in the Oval.
We played there 2 years.
Right. And people were looking forward to that. That was a big thing. And then they bring on artists. And I think they bring on steel band too. Yeah. And that was big. All of a sudden, maybe because of money again, they can't get no sponsors and all that kind of thing, because those things cost you to put on. It costs a lot of money to put on an event, you know, and they stop it at, you know.
And when you could put on an artist who is just basically lip syncing rather than a live parang band playing live music, you see the problem. You see the problem. So if we could get I refuse to say soca parang, a parang soca artist, okay, to lip sync for us, so just sing behind his tracks. The cost is cut down tremendously, and he may be doing that. He may be there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, okay, and going to another show to do the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
You see,
that was quality thing too.
Why take a whole parang group? Okay, we could maybe play parang music, but we're not hiring a parang band.
Right.
So those are some of the challenges you face in the ever-changing landscape that is Trinidad and Tobago. And you have to live with it.
Promoters now want the easier way out, as long as they don't cost them no extra money. So the artists now, they find they're going to sing with the tracks, and and here now some of them they download tracks.
Yes.
they download tracks and go to sing with it. So they ain't putting out no money, and the artists, whatever money they getting from the promoter, that's about it. But that was called everything. They didn't hire a whole Parang group again to do that. What the same person to do.
As Stalin sang all the way in 77,
And
some people will be so glad if money was the culture of Trinidad, but they lie.
you know, and some of these tracks too have the original people singing behind it, the background vocals and that.
Yes, yeah, everything. So
Yeah.
it's fully loaded.
You could hear a Parang, one person singing on a stage, singing Parang with Daisy voice and Viva.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the technology, you would say the technology has taken us into a place where an individual with simply a soundtrack could take up a performance by himself in any corporate venue, and not even need accompaniment by way of other a band or other players or any other apparent hero.
I wouldn't say the techno. I will call it the stupidity. If I get a word to suit technology, stupidity. Because what you will get from a parent group, right? It's better to see people. You see me? I like to see people play, and I like. Not that means you go and hear people play. You like to see people on a stage playing. Not one
It's a
person
vibe. You
singing.
can't take
It's a
away from
vibe.
that vibe.
Yeah.
So the technology has taken away from that vibe.
Yeah. And you have a DJ and a guy walk with all the track with a little stick. And God tell the DJ, put in that stick for me, and he started to sing. No, that he cut off all the musicians, people playing bass, they have no work, people guitarists and no work, trumpeters and no work, sax playing and no work. You know.
I recently on Friday, Invaders had the annual Parang show, if I may put it that way, and
Yeah.
but most of it was tracks. I went there telling myself I'm going to hear a Parang band perform with steel band. There was no Parang band. Was the steel band. They were playing all kinds of music, and they brought a few individual performers who sang the tracks.
You see?
Well, there you go.
So 5 hours of Parang at Invaders between 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock. No Parang band.
But
because they don't have the funds to. They don't have the funds.
Could I ask what was the entrance fee to get in there?
$50. It was reasonable.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
I guess we got what we paid for.
Well, they know why they charge you that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Maybe if they had a parent group, they might have to charge $200.
Exactly.
They're paying $200 to go in a pan. People have a thing about a pan here too. That if they go in there, it's for free. People have that kind of situation with a pan here. You know, they're paying. You know. So, we play music for the love of it. I do music every day. I have all my tools up here. Right? And I do it every day, just do it, play music, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Quincy Jones said the other day, you never play the music for the love of money or whatever, you do it for your soul. You know? And the melody, you say God has sent the melody for it. You know? It's a God-given thing. You know,
it's
you do it from
spiritual. It's something spiritual.
You do it from your heart. You know?
From the heart.
From the heart, you do it. Once you're in music, you want to play music and everything, you want people to hear you. You know how much songs I play, right? I did this guy's song had a song Mighty. I did every year. I do some Calistone thing by myself and put it out and give artist radio personnel. They don't play it. They don't play it at all. First they begin to play instrumental music. Instrumental music, they don't want that in Trinidad again. Instrumental music, take it from me. You don't want
Yeah,
that.
but there's some music with vocals that they don't play either.
Yeah, true.
They don't play either.
True.
So the media is a whole different ball game,
Because so I
and
say,
Pelham will bear me out on this. He grew up and I grew up in the era, okay? Because even though Pelham may be older than me, okay, we grew up in the same era. We had the same elements. There were only two radio stations:
yeah.
Radio Trinidad, Radio Guardian,
Guardian,
730 and 610.
Yeah.
Two radio
Well,
stations.
I started
And
go
we
before
got
that.
local content because of people like Phil Simmons,
Yeah.
Dave Elcock, who understood the landscape. Okay, they would play the local music. Now, Port of Spain and Trinidad is washed away with radio stations. We hear less local content than we used to hear before.
I beg to
The
differ from
paradox.
that. I do my best to live it.
That's David McIntyre.
Well, we talking about from a thing standpoint. We have to keep talking about one person because we talking about people. I tune in this morning. I tuned into a radio station this morning on my phone. You know what I was hearing? Dancehall music.
Well, there you go. That says a whole lot.
And a popular radio
It says
station.
a whole lot for us. I mean, I'm not
Dancehall.
bashing anybody that a local rum could bring Vibes Cartel, okay, to support their brand as the ambassador for their brand.
Dancehall,
So there's no Trinidadian artists, no Calypsonians, okay, who could fill that void.
Do you think that's a lack of support from corporate Trinidad and Tobago and from the state, or do you think it's a lack of having a vibrant Parang executive or vibrant representative body to represent the interests of the parandero and this genre of music?
There could be there's a vibrant Calypsonians organization, there's a vibrant Parang association. It all rests with the powers that be and the people who are in control. If they don't want to support something, they wouldn't support it. They wouldn't support them. Okay. If the bottom line is, we want to make X amount of dollars, we want to make, let's say our benchmark is $1 million. We don't think the parent group or the parent groups will do that. We'll go with somebody else. We've lost that. Yeah. We've lost an important nationalistic feeling that we had in the 70s and the 80s, that this is our music. Okay, this is our music, and we're going to support it all the way. I don't know what direction we're going in now. I don't know if what Pelham wants to say anything more on that, because he straddled the eras too.
I tell you, dance. If I hear dance all in Christmas time, I will say something.
But I traveled in San Fernando to Siparia for funeral, and I decided I wasn't driving. This was just after COVID, okay? And I'm in the vehicle, in the taxi going down, and he's playing dancehall music, and I said, driver, you could give us a little Christmas music. Why don't maybe turn to Radio 100? They're playing Christmas music. And he said, if I didn't like the music, I could have taken the bus. See, that's the attitude. How do you reach people like that? How you reach people with that perspective? It's very hard. I decided that I was not in the mood for argument, okay? Because in these days, you have to be careful who you're arguing with. So I decided, look, just let me close my eyes and wait till I reach San Fernando, okay? And block the awful music from my ears at Christmas time.
At Christmas,
The 16th of December.
I don't know.
The 16th of December, and you're playing dancehall music for you. He said, none of the other passengers complaining. I said, but look at all the other passengers. They're sleeping. I'm the only one up.
Dr. Garo, the Parang Steel Band competition that you spoke of, do you think that a revitalization of that steel band competition, the Parang Steel Band competition, Is that on the horizon? Do you think that is something
I,
that could inject
well,
a new life?
it all depends on who used to put it on. I can't remember if it's Pancho Bigo. I think it's Pancho Bigo, with the old administration was doing that. With the other them. But this administration with Pancho Bigo, they put Panorama in November to December. You understand? So they don't have no time to the going wrong and thing, you know. And then they did the festival earlier this year. So the planning of all these competition, I think they take time. But I don't think with this administration they will be interested in doing that. So as you know, yeah, as long as they have panorama going on. And that and all too. I watch the single band competition. No, I didn't watch the competition. I watched the lesser bands. It had 40 something or 42 or 43 bands. And every year you're seeing a new set of bands. If both of us fall out and I'm being a band, you have a band and I have a band. And it goes on like this. In a place with steel band, we steel band culture. Why you have more single band bands that you will have, it's only about 17 last band in Havana. For the last so much years, they can't even have a semi-final. They call it the semi-final. But they judge in the Panyard and they go to Havana and they think so it's only about 17 large bands to take part. And then you have small bands. But we have a next 40 small bands. But we have a next 30 something medium bands. You know. So when all of this going to happen, and what thing happening too, people playing, they crack shotting, I just call it. You have guys that play with more than one band, one on one steel band. They play all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? And they're encouraging all of that to happen. So things like it's Christmas time and they'll get into Parang and they don't have no time for that right now.
Do you think, and Mr. Brown, you could add your piece to that? Do you think that because the artist is struggling to as a musician in this particular genre, uh, he struggles to make money, so therefore he has no choice but to go on that hustle, Dr. Goddard. It's a hustle.
Yeah,
To make money, you had to play in 3 or 4 bands. Do you experience that with the Parang, Mr. Brown?
Well, everybody has their standards, and Los Paranderos de UE has its standards. So there are certain places we wouldn't play. Okay, there are certain places we wouldn't play. There are certain things we wouldn't do. Okay, that other parent groups may do because they're accustomed to doing that, but not part of the culture of Los Paranderos de UE. Remember, we not doing this, okay, for money. No individual in Los Paranderos de UE. There's no scale of fees, that the box bass player getting X, okay, and that the guitarist getting 2X, okay. Everybody doing this for the love of Parang, and the money goes towards the group.
To the group.
Okay? The group. That's how we were able to do 4 CDs. Okay?
Yeah.
We went begging for nobody. We did all the jacket covers, everything, the pressing of the CDs. We did all that.
Yeah.
That was out of our funds.
But you will have this year Parang, they will sing with the next Parang band.
No, because there's a loyalty to a Parang band. Sometimes you have people hopping from Parang band to Parang band, but basically there's a, I belong to this Parang band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're up to 2 minutes before end of time. Dr. Goddard, I'd give you the first say in terms of the closing remark. What would you like to see? What change, if you had to infuse a change into the landscape as it relates to Parang music or Parang soca? What would you like to see done in order to make the artists in that genre get greater support?
I would like to see them, if I should say, get performances now. Due to some more performances, like people hiring them then. You know, like how you used to have staff parties and all these other things. I have parent group in the staff party. You know, I remember we used to play out Hilton, Holiday Inn, all these places during Carnival at Christmas time, and they used to have a parent group.
Always
But
had a
we
parent group. Now,
always
what you
had a
find
parent group.
happening is the Christmas party has turned to a carnival fete. That we having a big band, okay, and we having a big name singer, carnival singer, singing at Christmas time at a Christmas party.
But there you go.
You see, somewhere
There you
we're
go.
losing something.
Yeah. Or it's who they want to pay for.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It boils down to that.
So I like to see them getting more. When I saw Alicia Jagasa on Facebook, right, talking about her group, how they treating her group and thing. It kind of
She's
I
talking about the undercutting, and you
right.
get that all the
Yeah.
time, which didn't take place in Parang
Like
before,
disrespect.
but suddenly it's reared its head. So if they're doing it for 5,000 and they have a song system, we could do it. We got some of that undercutting. We lost 3 engagements because of undercutting. It's become part of the landscape now. Somebody jumps up out of the bush and say they could do it for cheaper. And what they do is they know the cost. They know that our price is fair. But what they do is they cut members from their group. Okay? So we do it for 3,500. They have 14, we have 10. Okay? So we're going with 10, 3,500, and we divide that between the 10.
Wow.
You see?
Wow.
That's not how we operate. We operate, and this is the price of the song system. This is the price of the group. We not calculating our fee according to how much you're paying each individual member.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, one of the norms of Los Paranderos CUE is either the whole group or no group. One for all for one. It can't tell me you want 10. The group is 15. You have to take 15. If you don't want 15, well, look for a group that have 10.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for making yourselves available to us. It's always good hearing from you all, the men with the know-how. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to another occasion. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Be safe and be warm, Dr. Gutter. Be warm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Okay,
Enjoy the evening. David, over to you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure listening to you guys.
Enjoy evening. Blessings to the public.
Okay, will do. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Pelham.
Yeah.
That was today's edition of Hard Talk. Hard Talk will continue next Wednesday with Farid right here at Bar 102 Digital.